Hey, Tiger. Guess where I am? Trapped in the media dimension. Rez is back and he's kidnapped me to get to you.
I'm on my way. Did you know that people still make actual physical NES games to this day? It's really cool seeing what modern developers can come up with using hardware limitations on a console that was released over 30 years ago. Then you have other crazy NES-based projects like Moon 8 by Brad Smith, a recreation of the entire Dark Side of the Moon album on an NES cartridge. I remember seeing a copy of this very limited project on eBay by chance years ago and trying to get it, but not being able to match the top bid. Hey Brad Smith, if you have any more of those Moon 8 cartridges laying around, then maybe let me know. You know, just might have a George Washington or two with your name on it. You know, maybe. Just saying. Just saying. So anyway, today we're actually going to check out another NES project by Brad Smith. But this time it's an actual game. Lizard. So anyways, let's jump right in. And, oh, hang on. Got a message coming from my future self here.
Lizard. Find the suit. Find the portal. Whatever you do, don't.
Batteries must have ran out. Note to self, buy more interdimensional batteries. Anyway, probably wasn't that important. I think I got the gist of it. Let's get into the game. This is a lizard, and here we are walking around the title screen. To the immediate right we have some basic instructions, and to the left we have a password screen. Oh nice, so if we need to take a break, we'll be able to continue right where we left off. So the A button is jump, but the B button is lizard thing. What's that exactly? Well, right now if we press start, we get our current password and a message that says, "My lizard is the lizard of knowledge." Yeah, so when I press B, it gives me knowledge on the things nearby. What other lizard powers may we find? So right off the bat I have to reveal that the game is entirely open world, not something that was super common in the NES days, at least not to this degree. You literally have free range to explore any part of the game in just about any order you want. Now I tend to prefer more linear games, it's just the style that really clicks with me, and I tend to get lost in even the most basic Metroidvania type stuff, but I do appreciate the unique way that this game goes about it. Most Metroidvanias are open world to an extent, but you're slowly growing stronger and gaining more abilities over time, opening more and more of the world as you progress. Your character gets more powerful, enemies that were a problem before get easier, and your abilities stack. They're almost like RPG platformers. Lizard, at the heart of its gameplay, is actually more like a challenging retro platformer, but thrown into a world that happens to be non-linear. I'll try to explain what I mean by that. With my power of knowledge, I can see which animals are harmful to me, which is most of them, and I can also read these incoherent messages on these runes. That's nice and all, but I think we're gonna have to find some better power-ups if we really want to make some progress here. Touching any type of hazard kills us in one hit, sending us back to our last checkpoint, which happens to be these stone heads that are sprinkled throughout the map. Make sure you touch these guys. Enemies include angry pandas who lazily swipe at you if you get near them, predator deer that charge at you on sight, pink armadillos that sonic spin dash towards you, sticky cats that jump from the ceiling to floor continuously, jumpy crabs that you have to fake out to get past, and plenty of underwater foes, just to name a few. And remember, they will all kill you in a single hit, it doesn't matter how unintimidating they look. These penguins are technically enemies too, but they aren't actually a threat unless you mess with them first. You can bounce off their heads for some extra height, but it causes them to throw a tantrum. Get touched while they're doing that and you're done. Wait, what? What even killed me there? Oh, it was the blue frog. Okay, so green frogs are harmless, but the blue frogs kill you on contact. Maybe they're poison dart frogs. If you search around enough, you'll eventually come across what looks like a lizard skin on a pedestal. Walk up to it and... okay, I didn't expect that. Okay, so apparently we're not a lizard, but a dude inside of a lizard suit. The new suit will give your B button a different ability. This one being the Lizard of Push, which means, you guessed it, now we can push things. Of course, we don't simply gain a new power, we're swapping one suit for another, meaning we can only have one ability at a time. This is one of the key differences about Lizard in comparison to a lot of other open world games. Another interesting element about the game is, as I mentioned before, it plays a lot like a tough retro platformer rather than your usual exploration game. The gameplay is even a bit tricky to get the hang of at first. Building up speed before leaping is integral in making a lot of these jumps, and you're not able to shift your momentum in mid-air very much. Holding back after jumping one way isn't completely useless like in Ghosts and Goblins, but it more often hinders you than it does help when you're trying to cross gaps. Pulling back on jumps you aren't sure of or in an attempt to avoid enemies usually just slows you down to the point where you don't make the jump at all. You do, however, want to hold back or even down when landing, or you will slip forward a bit, sometimes clean off a ledge. Some people would say this style of platforming just feels slippery or even bad, but I don't think that's the case. It's just what the game is deciding to play like. Not every game is going to give you super tight movements like Super Mario World, and it is gameplay that you can get used to over time. Heck, you're going to have to if you plan on making a lot of these jumps. The platforming in this game gets pretty damn tricky. So what's the goal here exactly? This push suit is fine and all, but I'm not really finding much so far, and keep in mind this world has quite a lot to it. There's forest, underground caves, water zone, lava zone, techno zone, hyper random screen repeating maze zone, just to name a few. Oh wait, look, we just found a new suit that lets you use fire. Maybe if we take this to that icy mountain zone. Oh yeah, we can melt ice blocks now. And wait a minute, what's this? Oh, it must be what my future self was talking about. Find the suit, find the portal, and something else, whatever. This must be what we're looking for. So we hop on inside, and when you look at that, a boss fight with the big old chonker of a rabbit. Seems like our goal here is to get him to run into the fire while slipping through the open spots when he hops. But since he seems to do different types of jumps at random, this is easier said than done. Hey, actually, we do have the fire suit. I wonder if... Ah, look at that. The Lizard of Heat actually makes this boss fight way easier. Just burn the bun enough and you'll win. And look, a nice ending screen with the Lizard Pal. Can't understand a word he's saying because I don't have the knowledge suit on, I guess, but that's fine. Well, we get sort of an ending, but there's really a lot more to do. In fact, if the manual is anything to go by, we actually have 6 lizard suits in total, not counting the default one, which I presume means that there's 6 bosses to fight in the game. Each one designed with a different suit in mind. Alright, Lizard, I gotcha. Let's do this. I found the Bouncy Suit, but I'm not really sure where to go with this. The sky seemed like the obvious choice, since the only way you can reach these clouds is via bouncing, or a leap of faith. But there doesn't seem to be really anything up here. I guess not every zone has a portal that leads to a boss. There are coins scattered about the map as well, but who knows what those are for. Collecting value mostly, I guess. Wait a minute, what's this? Lizard of Surf. There was that rapids area that killed me if I tried jumping into it. Wonder if... Oh wow, look at that! Suddenly it's like we're playing a whole different game. Here we gotta simply avoid the debris and evil goldfish in a surfing minigame type thing. Except this isn't just a minigame, there's another boss at the end of it. A giant sea snake boy. Here we just gotta avoid running into him or the waves he sends at you, and then lead these barrels so it hits him right in the face. It's not too tough, but if you die here you do have to do the previous surfing part all over again, which kinda sucks. But keep at it and you'll get it eventually. And another ending screen as your reward. Alright, 2 bosses down, 4 to go. Speaking of, I actually found this spot near the beginning that seems to give visual acknowledgement of how many bosses you've defeated so far. Look, 2 out of the 6 torches lit here above this stone statue. I guess that confirms it. There's actually a number of interesting areas in the game that display some type of information that most other games would simply have available on something like a start menu, or an easily accessed hub. Besides the boss torches, there's this piggy bank that you can deposit your collected coins into. Not sure what it does aside from that. There's also this computer in the techno zone which gives you some game stats like how many times you bit the dust. Even the game's map is in an area that you'll have to find by digging around a bit, 2 of them actually. This basically reveals that there's 2 sides to the game's world, each with their own zones, and every time you go through one of these doors it seems to drop you off on either side. That would explain the abrupt changes in weather. Having these rooms be in not so obvious areas that you can easily lose track of can definitely be annoying, but I find it really interesting at the same time. It's another thing that makes this game feel unique. Anyway, no time to dwell on that, because I think I'm on my way to the next boss. I don't know what this zone's called, so I'll just name it Pushy Block Palace. And considering I have the push suit right now, I think we're on the right track. Yep, what did I say? This time we're faced with avoiding this enormous frog as he slowly climbs up towards us. He shoots laser rings out of his eyes for some reason, and the jumps here are pretty tricky. It's safe to say you'll need to have the controls mastered by this point if you want to have any hope of winning. One mistake and you're done. Oh, and that big fly at the top of the screen also kills you. Nice. As you climb up, you'll eventually reach these pink blocks that you can push down on the frog's eyes to stop him from shooting those rings. It's not so much damaging him as it's just giving you one less thing to worry about. Your real goal here is simply to keep climbing until you reach the top, which believe me is quite a challenge. Turns out all Froggy wanted to do was eat that fly. Alright, another boss down. I don't know what the floating ghost royalty lizard is all about, but we get another ending screen. Whew. Well, it's getting kind of late, and since the game does have a password system, I think I'll just take a break for the night and continue tomorrow, so I'll see you then. Alright, back for some more lizard. Okay. Wait a second, these portals are supposed to take you to the starting screen after beating the boss. Did it not save the fact that I beat the frog? Maybe it's because I didn't hit a checkpoint after beating him. I could just put the password in, but I'd have to get back to the starting screen to do that, and who knows how long it'd take me to find my way back, or beat the boss again. Oh, I know, I'll just reset the game so it puts me back at the start, and then I'll put the password in. Easy. Huh, my dude's skin changed color. That's interesting. I wonder if resetting randomizes that. Anyway, let's put that password in. Password sent me to the frog boss again. Oh, maybe the new passwords only generate after you've hit a checkpoint. Ah, so I do have to fight the frog again. It's a little annoying, but I guess that's fair. Alright, that took some time, but we're back and we should be all right. Wait, didn't I push that block down and create a shortcut to that area already? Wait, no. No, wait, don't tell me. One torch? No. Did resetting just clear all of my game data? Except where I was last time? Yep, that's exactly what it does. All that time I spent wandering around finding the suits, and all the correct places to use the suits, erased. All those tricky coins I spent time collecting, gone. The shortcuts I opened up to get back to other areas more easily, reset. Okay, I didn't know resetting the game meant resetting all of my progress. If the game has a password system, I'm assuming that means that the passwords are going to remember what I've done, not just what checkpoint I was at. The manual makes no mention of this whatsoever. It doesn't specify what the password system is actually saving, which apparently ain't much. And it's not like I could just jump right back and do those previous boss fights over again. I don't have the layout of the world memorized, and who knows how long it'd take me to find everything again. Okay, so maybe we won't get to light all the torches and see what happens when you do, but I guess I could at least fight the other 3 bosses that I haven't fought yet. Let's do this, I guess. Okay, we found the Lizard of Swim, and I have a pretty good hunch where I'm supposed to go with it. Yep, this might actually be the most easily discovered boss in the game after you have the right suit. It's an octo-parent who uses their own unborn kids as weapons. All you gotta do here is keep avoiding its attacks until it runs out of baby ammo, and you've won. It's a decent challenge, but considerably easier than the frog boss after you get the patterns down. Ooh, now we have this stone suit that makes us invincible to all forms of damage. The boss we want to use this against happens to be in the lava zone and consists of this trio of raccoons that enjoy raining fire upon us. Believe it or not, this is actually the easiest boss in the game, so long as you have the stone suit. You just have to stand on these air tubes here so the raccoons don't have a source of oxygen. Without the suit, I can see how this would be pretty tricky, as you'd have to constantly move to avoid the falling fire. But with this ability, you can literally just stand there and wait until the tubes go all the way down. Did this on my first try. A little cheap, sure, but hey, I'll take it. Okay, that just leaves the Bouncy Suit, but for the life of me, I cannot figure out where I'm supposed to go with it. The clouds lead to nothing, the Techno Zone seems to come up empty, and overall I'm pretty lost here. Wait a minute, don't tell me that the repeating maze place... Yup, that's where we're meant to go. This has to be the most well-hidden boss in the entire game. Keep in mind, as I said, this place is like a labyrinth. The screens seem to just repeat in random spots, and on top of that, it has some of the more hazardous enemies in the game, so dying and having to restart a checkpoint just makes it even more confusing. I don't know how, but eventually I noticed this one spot that I hadn't entered into yet. Just seeing it isn't enough though. You have to actually figure out how to get to the screen above it and then fall in a very specific way so that you can use your bounce ability to land on a normally unreachable platform, which you can then use to enter the secret spot. Whew, how the hell did I manage to do all this with no walkthrough? Or FAQ. So anyway, once inside you meet the 6th boss, which might arguably be even harder than the frog was. It's this demented rat, or perhaps a tanuki. Whatever it is, you have to battle it in this pitch black void while it floats around shooting stuff at you. Occasionally it'll tilt its head down, exposing a weak point which you can jump on. If you fall off the screen, you'll reappear at the top, which seems nice at first, but every time you deal damage to the boss, another shooting star will appear on the screen that you'll have to avoid, which makes falling through the screens more and more dangerous as the fight goes on. And he takes more than 3 hits to beat. There aren't too many tips I can give here, you just gotta avoid the everything, make sure you land your hits, and survive. And with that, we've completed the last of the 6 bosses. It'd be around this time that I would go back to the torch room and see what happens when all the torches are lit, but, you know, that stuff happened. The game wiping stuff. Yeah. Okay, yeah, this really bummed me out and almost soured my overall experience of the game, but after some browsing on the game's Steam page, I found out I wasn't the only one this happened to. The creator of the game even responded with a save file that had all of the bosses completed already, letting the other guy who unfortunately erased his progress by accident see the true ending of the game. You know what, at least Brad was nice enough to provide this for anyone who made the same goof as I did. You know what, I'm gonna use it. Let's see that true ending. Wait a minute. I counted 6 suits in the manual earlier, equating to 6 bosses in the game. But actually, if we count the default Lizard of Knowledge suit, that means there's actually 7 in total. Could that mean? Yep, the game has a final boss. Hey, that's awesome. So here we have what appears to be a genuine lizard who explains he's the reason we've been trapped in this world all along, since he was trying to use our help to escape. But anyway, whatever crazy contraption he's using is inadvertently trying to kill us. So while his speech is going on, we gotta keep hopping around to the safe spots to avoid getting fried, or falling into the abyss. Once again, you really have to have the gameplay mastered if you want to have a chance of beating this. There really isn't any room for error here. After enough time successfully avoiding death, the machine finally calms down, and the lizard fades away, leaving us with this magical book where we can finally see the true end credits to the game. Well, we did it. In the end, I think that Lizard is a really cool modern addition to the NES library. It isn't quite like any other game on the console, borrowing elements from different genres, but sewing them together in a way that makes it feel special. I'll admit that it probably isn't a game for everyone. People into tough 2D platformers may not be as into the open world exploration aspect of the game. And people who are more into open world Metroidvania type stuff may not be into how punishing the tricky platforming can be. But for those of you that find both of these aspects appealing, I think the game delivers quite well. It took me about 5.5 hours to clear the game and get the final ending, though that time may vary depending on how quickly you find yourself navigating the world and how long it takes you to master the controls. There's also plenty of replay value beyond that. like trying to hunt down all the coins for the Piggy Bank, or even using the abilities to reach secret areas on the map. There were the occasional parts of the game that I found a bit questionable. Enemies sometimes seemed random in how they behaved, like these owls that swoop back and forth with no consistent trigger, or these cats that just move whenever they feel like it. RNG in enemies isn't inherently a bad thing, but when it's in a game that punishes you for any little platforming mistake, it can make things frustrating. Even the big bunny seemed to have no indication of when it was going to do a small or a big jump, though most bosses did thankfully seem to act in a more readable manner. Another thing I found odd is occasionally I'd find a path that was pretty challenging to get through, so I'd assume it might be leading to a new suit or a boss fight, but instead it just wraps back around to an area we've already visited. Maybe with standard Metroidvania fare this makes more sense, but here it feels odd to make the player go through a bunch of tricky platforming that takes multiple tries just to lead you nowhere special in particular, especially when in a few specific places there are in fact shortcuts you can unlock that makes returning to previous areas more convenient. The biggest issue I had, however, was the fact that resetting your game erases all progress you've made in the world, with no warning whatsoever. The creator explained in response to someone else that the idea is, like with a classic NES game, resetting the console is meant to make you start fresh. That's a fine explanation, though I think the purpose of the passwords in-game could be made more clear, as that's the reason why I felt it was safe to reset in the first place. These passwords do not save your world data. Unless you're trying to delete your progress on purpose, do not reset the game. Overall though, I enjoyed Lizard a lot. If you're interested in buying the game, you can visit lizardnes.com and purchase a physical copy for as little as $45 for the loose cart and manual. But the game is also available digitally on Steam for $10. If this game seems up your alley, then I'd say $10 is definitely worth it. Just don't hit reset. Please don't hit reset. And that about wraps up my review of Lizard. I enjoyed it. Just don't reset it. Whatever you do, don't reset it. 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 Do not reset it. Do not reset. Don't reset. Di nada resetto. Don't reset the game. Please do not reset.